The atmosphere changes the moment a name is mentioned, because some names carry more weight than others, and when Zhang and Tian Xiwei are placed in the same conversation, fans immediately begin listening between the lines. For a long time, every appearance, every shared moment, every unexpected reaction and every small detail surrounding these two stars has created a wave of curiosity that seems almost impossible to stop. But this time, the attention is different. The idea that Zhang has finally spoken about Tian Xiwei creates a completely different kind of tension, because fans are not simply wondering what he said. They are wondering why he chose to say it, what made him speak at that particular moment, and whether his words carry a deeper meaning than the simple statement they appear to be on the surface. In the world of celebrities, a few carefully chosen words can become more powerful than an entire interview, especially when they involve someone whose name has already become connected to so much public curiosity. Every pause suddenly feels meaningful. Every expression becomes something people want to understand. Every sentence seems capable of opening another door. And that is exactly why this moment has captured so much attention. For fans who have followed Zhang and Tian Xiwei closely, the fascination does not come from one isolated moment. It comes from the atmosphere that has surrounded them, from the way people notice their interactions, from the excitement that appears whenever their names cross paths, and from the countless questions that remain unanswered. There is something deeply compelling about two public figures who can generate so much conversation without needing to explain every detail of their lives. Sometimes the less that is said, the louder the speculation becomes. A simple glance can become a discussion. A smile can become a trending topic. A brief reaction can send fans searching through old moments for clues they may have missed. But when Zhang himself appears to address Tian Xiwei, the situation changes completely. Suddenly, fans are no longer trying to interpret silence alone. They are listening carefully to what he chooses to reveal and, perhaps even more importantly, what he chooses not to reveal. Imagine the anticipation surrounding that moment. The conversation begins normally, but the atmosphere shifts when Tian Xiwei enters the discussion. There is an almost invisible change in the way everyone listens, because this is the name people have been waiting to hear. Zhang does not need to make a dramatic announcement for the moment to become significant. Sometimes the most powerful moments are quiet ones, when a person takes a breath, considers the words carefully and responds with a level of thoughtfulness that immediately makes everyone wonder what is happening beneath the surface. Fans begin paying attention to every detail. Was his expression different when her name was mentioned? Did his tone become softer? Did he hesitate before responding? Was there something about the way he described her that revealed admiration, respect, affection, friendship, or simply professional appreciation? These questions begin moving through the fan community almost instantly, transforming an ordinary exchange into something much larger. And perhaps that is the most fascinating part of celebrity moments like this. People rarely listen only to the words. They listen to the emotion behind them. They look for the tiny details that cannot easily be captured in a headline. They wonder whether a person is speaking from a prepared answer or from something more personal. They analyze whether the response feels natural or carefully guarded. Zhang has built a public image that often leaves room for curiosity, and that makes any meaningful comment especially powerful. When someone who usually maintains a certain level of privacy suddenly addresses a subject that has attracted enormous public attention, fans naturally begin asking what changed. Why now? Why this subject? Why these words? The mystery does not disappear simply because he spoke. In some ways, it becomes even stronger. Tian Xiwei herself has become an important part of the conversation because of the attention surrounding their professional connection and the moments fans have noticed over time. Whether people interpret those moments as friendship, chemistry, mutual respect, comfortable companionship, or simply the natural result of working together, one thing remains undeniable within the story created by the title: people are deeply curious. They want clarity, but they also fear that clarity might remove the mystery that made the connection so fascinating in the first place. That creates a strange emotional balance. Fans want Zhang to speak, but once he does, every word becomes something they may examine again and again. A sentence that could have been simple suddenly feels layered. A compliment becomes a subject of discussion. A respectful observation becomes a potential clue. And silence after the statement becomes just as interesting as the statement itself. There is also something deeply human about the desire to understand what another person truly feels. Celebrities may live under extraordinary public attention, but emotions such as admiration, gratitude, respect, nervousness, and affection remain universal. That is why these moments resonate so strongly. Fans are not only watching celebrities, they are watching human reactions. They are trying to understand what happens when two people become closely associated in the public imagination while still maintaining boundaries around their private lives. The more attention grows, the more difficult it becomes to separate what is publicly known from what people hope might be true. That distinction matters, especially when a headline suggests something dramatic. A statement can be meaningful without confirming every theory surrounding it. A warm comment can exist without becoming a romantic confession. A strong professional connection can be genuine without needing another label. Yet the mystery surrounding Zhang Linghe's words remains irresistible. What did he actually mean when Tian Xiwei became part of the conversation? Did he describe her personality in a way that surprised people? Did he acknowledge something fans had noticed for a long time? Did he simply express respect for her talent and character? Or did the tone of his response create an emotional impression that made people wonder whether there was something more beneath the surface? Without knowing every detail behind the moment, fans are left with the most powerful ingredient of any mystery: possibility. Possibility allows imagination to fill the spaces that information cannot reach. It makes people revisit memories, compare expressions, and search for connections. Suddenly, moments that once seemed ordinary begin to look different. That is where the emotional tension becomes almost cinematic. Somewhere, a fan watches the moment for the first time and freezes when Tian Xiwei's name appears. Another person immediately searches for the exact wording. Someone else rewatches the clip, paying attention to Zhang Linghe's expression. Others begin discussing whether his answer sounds different from what they expected. The conversation grows, not necessarily because everyone agrees, but because everyone has something they want to understand. Some see simple respect. Some see an especially comfortable friendship. Others believe there is an emotional connection worth exploring. And many simply enjoy witnessing two talented performers who seem to have created a memorable dynamic through their work. The most intriguing possibility is that Zhang Linghe's statement does not provide the complete answer at all. Perhaps it gives fans one small piece of information while leaving 10 more questions behind. That is often what happens when public figures speak carefully about people who matter to their professional or personal world. They may want to acknowledge someone without exposing private details. They may want to show appreciation without allowing their words to become something they never intended. They may understand that even a harmless sentence can be transformed into headlines, theories, and endless discussions. In that environment, choosing words becomes an art of its own. And this is where Zhang Linghe's response becomes emotionally interesting. Speaking publicly is not simply about saying something. It is also about deciding how much to say. The boundary between openness and privacy can be incredibly thin. A celebrity can be sincere while still protecting personal space. A person can care deeply about another human being while choosing not to explain every aspect of that relationship to millions of strangers. That does not make the statement meaningless. In fact, sometimes restraint makes a statement more powerful because it reminds everyone watching that there is a real person behind the celebrity image. For Tian Xiwei, being at the center of such attention also creates another layer to the story. Her name becomes part of a conversation that can grow far beyond the original moment. Every reaction can be interpreted, every appearance can be connected to previous appearances, and every interaction can become part of a larger narrative constructed by fans. That can be exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. The public sees moments. The people involved experience entire days, conversations, and circumstances that the public never sees. What appears mysterious from the outside may feel completely ordinary to the people living it. That contrast is one of the most fascinating aspects of celebrity culture. Still, the title itself carries a sense of emotional release. Zhang Ling finally speaks out. Those words suggest that there has been a period of waiting, wondering, and anticipation. They create the impression that something previously left unexplained has suddenly been brought into the light. Whether the actual statement is dramatic or surprisingly simple, the emotional impact comes from the fact that people were waiting to hear something from him directly. Direct words have a different weight from rumors. They may not answer every question, but they can change the way people understand the story. Perhaps that is why fans are wondering rather than simply celebrating. If the statement were completely straightforward, there would be little mystery left. But when words are open to interpretation, curiosity survives. Fans begin asking whether Zhang Ling intentionally chose certain expressions. They wonder whether his response reflected a genuine personal impression or simply professional courtesy. They wonder whether Tian Xiwei expected him to say it. They wonder what she might think about the attention surrounding his words. They wonder whether the two stars will address the subject again or allow the moment to remain exactly where it is. And somewhere within all of those questions lies the emotional heart of the story. It is not necessarily about proving a theory. It is about understanding why one brief moment can make so many people feel something. Celebrity stories become powerful when they connect with universal emotions: curiosity, admiration, uncertainty, hope, and the desire to understand another person. Zhang Ling and Tian Xiwei represent that kind of fascination because their public moments have inspired people to look beyond the obvious. Fans notice chemistry, timing, expressions, and atmosphere. They create memories from moments that may have lasted only seconds. But perhaps the most beautiful interpretation is also the simplest one. Maybe Zhang Linghe's words were meaningful because they reflected genuine respect for Tian Xiwei as a person and performer. Maybe there was no hidden confession, no secret message, and no dramatic revelation waiting between the lines. Maybe what touched people was simply the warmth of hearing one talented artist acknowledge another. In a world where every celebrity interaction can be transformed into speculation, sincerity itself can feel surprisingly powerful. Respect can be meaningful. Appreciation can be meaningful. A thoughtful description of someone's character can stay with people long after the moment has passed. At the same time, it is impossible to ignore the atmosphere created by the unanswered questions. What happens after someone speaks? Does the conversation become quieter, or does it become louder? In this case, the mystery seems to grow because every answer creates another possibility. Fans may return to previous appearances and see them through a new lens. They may remember moments they once dismissed as ordinary. They may wonder whether there was always a level of understanding between Zhang Ling and Tian Xiwei that they simply did not recognize. They may search for patterns where there are only coincidences. And that is exactly why careful attention matters. Not every glance is a clue, not every smile is a secret, and not every kind word contains a hidden confession. What remains real is the impact of the moment itself. Zhang Ling speaking about Tian Xiwei has given fans something they had been waiting for: his own voice entering a conversation that had previously been filled with outside interpretations. That alone changes the emotional atmosphere. His words become a reference point, something people can return to when discussing the connection